Someone asked the question the other day how I got started in video games. And with this video, I want to answer that entire process that actually still works today. So how I got started in video games is actually very simple. It can be broken down in one sentence essentially, and that is GameStop's buy two, get one pre-owned sale. Alright, so that's the short version. Now to get into all the bits and pieces of it. So for a while growing up, I did a lot of different things. Maybe not so much when I was little, maybe rake some leaves and shovel some snow and try to get my buddies into it, but more so when I got into school, And some of the things were trading stocks and options, which didn't go so well. I lost about $5,000. Learning about real estate with some of Robert Kiyosaki's programs, but really didn't have the money for real estate. I had a blog where I did basically screencasts on momentum stocks based on different candlestick patterns and Japanese charting and that kind of stuff. And I almost got started teaching English to Chinese students, and there was a lot of different randomness, a lot of squirrel brain stuff going on. But one of the things that had stuck with me, and at that point I kind of realized that you got to dig the well deep enough to get to the oil. And so that's what it all kind of boiled down to for me anyways. And how this started is when I got married, my thank you was terrible, sweating profusely, red in the face. I mean, I'd always been terrible in front of people, which part of the reason for me joining then Toastmasters, which is a public speaking group, was to learn more of those skills and get a little better with that, so I wasn't, again, sweating profusely and red in the face. But anyways, as part of that group, there's a thing that they do in every meeting, and it's called table topics. And what that essentially is an off-the-cuff, you come up there, you're asked a question, and you answer that question in a 1 to 2 minute time frame as an impromptu speech. So anyways, one of the girls in the group gave it, and it was about how every time she goes to Amazon.com, she always looks in that used and new category to see the other offers. So ironically enough, around that same time frame, we were digging through some stuff, and I happened to find my original Game Boy. Now you may have never seen this before, but this is before Game Boy Color and all that, and it's even the see-through model. So anyways, I found this, and there was a video game that I really like to play. It's Zelda Link's Awakening. So I did what she told me to. I went to Amazon.com, looked at Zelda's Awakening, went to that used, others, and new, and I bought that item. Now, about a week came by, and the item arrived, and I put the game in, it worked, it played, it was good. It was very good. And I looked at the envelope, and I thought, man, this looks like somebody from prison sent it to me. It was pretty bad. But, not to make fun of prisoners, but, there wasn't much to it. So I thought, well, if that person did it, then maybe I can too. And that's what got the ball rolling. I signed up to sell on Amazon.com. And originally, because there's a lot of pawn shops in the area and that kind of stuff, I was going to them and looking through their stock and finding video games and going back home and looking it up, or going outside of the store and looking it up on my phone and figuring out kind of what would I could buy for under $10 under the lowest offer, and then of course sell. And so I did a little bit of that, realized that, man, this is going to be hard to find stock. And that's when I started looking online. And I looked at Best Buy and Walmart and then GameStop. Now, GameStop wasn't very, very amazing, but they have a buy two, get one free on pre-owned games about every quarter, or at least they did. So what I did is, a lot of times I like to write things down. So this is part of my journal from February 22nd of 2017. And anyways, what I have in here is I literally wrote out some of the games that were of interest to me because they were selling for basically at least $25 a piece, at least $23 a piece on Amazon. And I could buy the game for at least $10 cheaper with a buy two get one free sale. And the night before, or not the night before, excuse me, a few weeks leading up to that, at the same time frame, I also got an offer from my credit card company for 0%. This is not financial advice, by the way. For 0% for a whole year on all purchases, whatever. And so I activated that offer. I went to sleep early the night before the buy two get one free sale, because you get the email the day before or whatever. Woke up at 12:01 a.m. and I started adding to my cart and placing this massive order. I spent around $5,000 to $6,000 on that credit card, so I really put myself out there on a limb. And then the products came, and then I listed them, and then they sold, and I kept repeating that process. And it was pretty much like wholesale. I had boxes labeled on a shelf that would have that video game name on there along with the quantities of each. And there was maybe 12 boxes once I really narrowed down what was profitable and what was selling, because I didn't know anything about Keepa, and I didn't know anything about some of those sales ranks and competition and that kind of stuff. So it just was this snowballing process where every buy two get one free, I would just buy. I'd place, well, here's some of the packing slips. Here's some. Each one of these boxes has them in there. These bags have it in there. And these are just the 2017 ones. There's some that were from 2018 early, but I'll get to that here in a minute. And so I repeat that process, did it again and again, and it was working. I started that year in about March time frame, and within 9 months I had $123,000 in revenue just from video games. So it was cool. It was very good to see something come to fruition. So for me, it was all about, instead of digging a bunch of tiny little wells and getting nowhere, I had to dig that deep well that went down to the oil. Now, as time went on and you get to November and that, it started getting a little bit harder to buy video games. First, my credit card stopped working, and then I'd get weird errors on their website, and then they'd start canceling my orders. So it was kind of like a multi-step process. So I knew it wasn't looking good. They must know that I'm doing something wrong, or it must not be allowed to resell. So, what's going to happen? And it was still a great deal because, again, I built it up to that point, so I knew something was going to eventually happen. But I started getting smart and thinking about new ways to do things. And one of those ways was I started going to the physical store and placing online orders there. Now, that was doing really well too. And then it gets to about January time frame, and now even I believe it's still the same, but you used to be able to order a maximum of 9 units of the same game on the same order. Now they lowered that to 2. So now you gotta get a little more creative and find basically which games are the same price so that you can do 2 of one and 1 of the other, and then keep doing that. But what happened to get to the end of this story, every story has an ending. The district manager actually came in one of the times I was there and said that I cannot no longer place orders in the store or with GameStop, so I basically got completely blackballed and not allowed to purchase there right now. But if you are, it might be a good way for you to start up for sure. I mean, I'd still recommend it. If I wanted to go through all the hoops and get a new credit card, a new IP address, and a VPN, and a user prep and pack, I could probably still do it. But the process is a little lengthy because the products come, you sort the products, what has cases, what has discs, what has booklets, what has whatever, and then you test the products, which takes a lot of time. And then I was merchant fulfilling these items, so all that kind of takes time. And although it was a good way to get started, I think right now I will continue to just focus on new video games, which isn't a huge portion of my revenue, but it's still a portion of it. Hopefully, though, this does answer that question. And I do have some pictures to share with you guys. Here's an example of one of the deliveries. And this is another example of a typical shipment that would come pretty regularly. This was one of the busiest weekends we had with merchant fulfilling orders. We had 102 over that weekend. Here's just some of the stats. This was a fairly light one. 40 in the day, 125 in the week, 52 in the day with 8 pending, and 207 in that last week. So, you know, these were some of the peak weeks, but it does at least show something to say that, you know, what I'm telling you isn't completely BS. So I just want to close by, you know, saying thank you for that question. If you guys do have other questions in this or any video, always ask. I am willing to answer them. And maybe you'll find that you can still work out this buy two get one free thing with GameStop that they run and find something for yourself to sell too. I mean, for me, like I say, it was just all of a matter of just plotting out, you know, what was that price? Was it at least $10 cheaper than Amazon? And then I always wanted the item to be more dollars because then you got more to work with. So I tried for items that were $23 and more. So thank you for watching, and please comment below if you have any questions. Thanks.